What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Happy Thursday, October 1st. We are very excited to have you here at the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John. John, tell everybody what's up.
What is up, everybody? Hope everyone's ready for another great pre-Thursday show. Everyone's excited for probably one of the worst game of the week. Not too many people are really excited to look forward to the Jets playing the Broncos. So,
if you had to watch on a loop for 24 hours the debate or this football game, which one would you watch?
On a loop or continuous? I'd rather watch the debate.
Really?
Yeah, at least it was so bad it was funny.
I mean, this game could get pretty comical. I mean, we could have a butt fumble part 2. Who knows?
I just start feeling bad for people at that point. I start thinking of people's careers.
I feel bad for the people of America watching the debate.
Yeah, but fantasy football teams, they matter.
Yeah, but nobody's playing anybody. But we'll get into that. But anyways, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great show for you today. But before we jump into that, let's talk about this Kenny G jersey.
It's beautiful.
Quite.
We're giving it away Sunday.
We are, unfortunately.
So you guys need to make sure you tune in to our Sunday live stream where you can see if maybe you won, your friend won. You can be jealous of them. You can steal their phone, type their address, your address on their account, maybe get it mailed to you. But make sure you guys tune in and see who's going to win it.
And if you haven't registered yet, all you got to do is go to our Instagram or our Twitter at the Fantasy Tap on both. We posted, I believe, last Thursday. I think last Thursday, a tweet as well as an Instagram post on how you can win this. All you got to do is tag 2 people, 2 of your friends, and like the post, and you'll be entered to win this bad boy.
Hate to see it go, but
I love to watch her leave.
It's a cutie.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the rest of the show, I just want to touch on our beer of the day. We are drinking the Havana Lager Suave by Concrete Beach Brewery out of Wynwood, Miami. Another Wynwood beer.
Yeah, they do pretty good. This one's really smooth and light.
Very nice and fluffy.
So,
but let's jump into the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get started off with the news and injuries from around the league. And, of course, if you've been listening or watching on Twitter or listening to the news, watching SportsCenter, you heard that the Titans had 3 players test positive for COVID, as well as 5 staff members. And then I believe Wednesday morning, they found only one other player tested positive. So the Steelers and Titans game, that is going to be in jeopardy.
Postponed for sure. Possibly Monday or Tuesday, but possibly even further. There's no definitive date at the moment. There's been a lot of different ideas thrown out there. So personally, my recommendation to you guys is if you are rostering Steelers or Titans players currently and have them in your starting lineups, if possible, out of safety, just put them in a flex position for now. And in your mind, have a backup ready. And then if you don't hear news by the time your backup's getting ready to play, really want to think about it. I would assume that by Sunday they're going to have a definitive answer whether or not the game's going to be played Monday or Tuesday. So just be cautious and have a plan ready beforehand.
Yeah, I think that my gut feeling is telling me that they're going to play either Monday or Tuesday. Obviously, the game is postponed. Definitely, it's not being played on Sunday. That is definite. So they're wanting to play either Monday or Tuesday. Keep an eye out on it. And make sure you have a contingency plan in your leagues. We were talking about it a little bit before the show. We saw somebody on, I forget exactly who it was, but somebody on Twitter posted a great idea where you have if you have a Titans or Steelers player in your starting position and the game does not go on or play this week, you can appoint a backup player before they play to take over that spot if the Steelers and Titans game doesn't play. So have a contingency plan in your leagues. I mean, we've known coming up, this entire season, this is a possibility. Games could get canceled, which is why, we stressed having contingency plans throughout. Now we're facing it, and not everything's perfect. So if you need to adjust, do so. But just make sure that you have plan in place. That way, it keeps it fair for everybody. Everybody has fun, and you don't get that bickering and whatnot within the league.
It's a weird year. There's a lot going on, and so you just gotta be fluid on the choices you make in your league. Otherwise, people are gonna complain. You're gonna lose your people.
Yeah, exactly, and you don't want that. So, but moving on, Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller did not practice Wednesday. I know that Chris Godwin had the MRI on his hamstring. He is definitely out this week and potentially next Thursday. So fire up Mike Evans. It's going to be a good play this week. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind playing Scotty Miller as long as he plays. But let's wait and see what happens to him if he practices today or what his practice is like. Cam Akers did not practice Wednesday again, and he is considered day-to-day. Darrell Henderson really looked good this weekend, so I project him as being that lead back for now, at least. Malcolm Brown didn't do too much, and with a finger he had surgery on, I don't really expect too much out of him. I mean, it's pretty BA if you can have surgery 3 days prior to you playing a football game. So, Leonard Fournette, he is dealing with an ankle injury. Miles Sanders listed with a glute injury. And then Jamison Crowder, he's likely out again Thursday. So, keep an eye out. I mean, he's probably out for the game today. And I mean, are you starting him if he does play? John, are you playing him at all if he does play?
No, he's been out a decent amount. He's been out a decent amount that I'm not going to take that risk. Even if he were to be a full go, I would only be comfortable as like a flex receiver for him. So, no, I'd find someone with a little more stability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Raheem Mostert, he is not ready to practice yet. They reevaluated that knee, and he is not ready to go yet. And then Jerick McKinnon, he practiced in full today, which was nice to see.
As did George Kittle.
Good to see.
Yeah.
For him, especially. I mean, that knee injury looked pretty nasty. It could have been a lot worse than it actually was. So glad he's back. I think they kept him out last week just as a precaution.
Yeah, I think so as well. They weren't really going up against they didn't really have the toughest of times. Nick Mullins actually had a pretty good game without him. Yeah. But Jimmy Garoppolo did not practice as well. So almost got a full team back.
Yeah.
Offense at least. But just missing another key component. So nice to see McKinnon's back as well. Practicing in full. I know a lot of people were jumping straight to that Jeff Wilson train. Do you feel like you can trust McKinnon as much as you did last week?
I think he will definitely be involved. So yeah, I mean, if he plays, I'm playing him. I mean, from what he showed in that first part of that game, I mean, he had a solid fantasy week, and if he plays, I'm playing him.
Okay, I like it.
Mm-hmm. So
but Leonard Fournette did come out, and Bruce Arians said he's dealing with a minor ankle injury, so possibly limited play time compared to what he's doing. I mean, after that fumble last week, you really didn't see too much after that. And Ronald Jones kind of took over the share. So I don't think many people were really looking for him to do too much, but if you are, just walk away from it.
Yeah.
As well, Miles Sanders was listed with a glute injury, hurting that butt at work. At work. So someone you want to keep an eye on, Boston Scott and Corey Clement weren't really able to do too much without when Miles Sanders was out. So it's not like either of them are an automatic handcuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have him, you're going to want to watch that injury designation, because if he plays, it's much different than just being able to play someone behind him.
Yep.
Uh,
Sonny Michel? You want to get to Sonny Michel?
Yeah, Sony Michel gained an an injury designation, as well as James White and Damian Harris returning to full to practice.
I liked seeing that Damian Harris is back yesterday. I think he's going to be solid going down the stretch this year. Obviously, we kind of saw it this week that you don't really know what's going to happen in that Bill Belichick backfield. And I'm very happy to see that James White is coming back after, such a tragic incident, with his family and everything. So, and then Kareem Hunt dealing with a groin injury as well. He is day to day, so keep an eye on that. He's been a very solid flex and running back too for fantasy football. And then Devontae Freeman, supposedly, he's supposed to see a heavier workload in Week 4. Are you going to be playing Devontae Freeman or any of those Giants?
No, their offensive. No, if Saquon Barkley can't jump into that offense and be productive, then obviously it's not just him. Their offensive line's not able to do too much. So I think that you're just going to be able to pass on that entire backfield easily without question.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were someone that picked him up when the news came out of him getting the tryouts and talking with the team, he's not someone I'm going to drop. But, let's see what he can do in that offense. He was talented. Let's see if he still has it. But I'm not expecting him to do too much, so I'm not playing him in any way.
Yeah, and then one more for us before we move on. Zach Moss. He was back at practice, which is nice.
Nice to see.
Yeah. So definitely going to be, I don't know about this week, but could be competing with Devin Singletary there again. He returned from that toe injury, so he had a great week 1. Took some of that a lot of that goal line work from Singletary. So don't drop Zach Moss. People have dropped him in my leagues, and I've ran to the waiver wire, scooped him up. So make sure. Check and see if he's out on that waiver wire. Go pick him up because I do think he's going to have a solid role in this backfield.
Yeah, it's someone who's not so much just going to be obvious number one easy start for you. I think it's going to be someone who you're going to look at where the Bills are going to be in goal line situations. But towards the end of the season, I think he's going to open up a really nice role for himself and someone that you're going to want in a playoff push. Just to have in that security.
Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see in that week 1 too. He also got work in the receiving game, which is where he scored his touchdown. So definitely keep an eye out for him. See if he's on your waiver wires. Pick him up. He's got up and down schedule, but that O-line there in Buffalo's pretty solid, and I think he's going to carve out a solid role in that offense. But now, let's move on to our starts of the week for Week 4. John, you want to get going on that?
Yeah. So, welcome to Week 4. We're going to help you guys win again.
We're here. We're ready.
So, my quarterback of the week for you guys is actually going to be Matt Stafford. Obviously, with the addition of Kenny Golladay and back there, they were able to get a win last week. Sort of surprising against the Cardinals, but I do think that them going against Drew Brees is going to mean that it's going to be somewhat of a high-scoring, fast-paced game with the addition of Kenny Golladay back and, if not healthier than last week, just going to be lighting it up, trying to reproduce what he was able to do last season with that full team before Matt Stafford did get injured. I think he's someone who's just going to ball out for you, and if you have him on your roster, would definitely start him and expect top 10 quarterback numbers from him this week going against New Orleans. In that running back position, you guys can find a lot of security. Going with James Robinson. They're playing against the Bengals this week, currently ranked 26th seventh most points allowed to the running back position, giving up a total of the 29.8 in a PPR league. So I think James Robinson's going to be someone that Gardner Minshew and that entire Jags offense just finds a lot of reliability in, as well as just being an absolute baller, and the Bengals defense not really being able to stop that run game effectively, especially when you have someone who has high pass catching ability, able to break it away for big runs, and they like to find him in the end zone when he gets his opportunities. So I do think that James Robinson's going to find himself another amazing week and be an absolute stud for you. Easy running back one for me this week.
Yeah, I like him a lot this week. If he can continue, especially in that pass game work, man, if he can continue along those, with being involved in that passing game, I think he could be the league winner this year. Picking him up off the waiver wire, he wasn't expected, obviously, or he would have been drafted a lot more than he was. So definitely could, if he continues the way he's going, he could be a league winner. So I like it a lot.
Yeah. So one of my first receivers is actually going to be Alan Lazard. With or without Devontae Adams coming back this week, going against the Falcons, you're going to see another shootout against that offense. You want to play whatever pieces you can get of that puzzle this week. And with Devontae Adams, if healthy, being an obvious must start, Alan Lazard's still going to be getting those targets, with the Packers wanting to find that wide receiver to find a steady one for Aaron Rodgers, or even another quarterback that might have been drafted early. You're going to be expecting good numbers from him. I think that he showed out last week and kind of set a little bit of a role and comfortability for Aaron Rodgers that they're just going to continue to expand upon, and this is a great game for him to really break out and have another big game. It does kind of scare me a little bit because I don't like going back-to-back big games unless it's someone that's consistent. But I do think that this is the start of maybe some consistency from him. And then another receiver that you guys are going to want to have in your lineup is just going to be Devontae Parker. Obviously, going against the Seahawks, you're going to have Russell Wilson running the score up and Fitzmagic trying to keep up pace. And who else are you going to want to have catching that ball in the end zone than Devontae Parker, or going up big and trying to make big plays for Ryan Fitzpatrick? I think that Devontae Parker is going to do absolutely amazing this weekend. The Seahawks have given up 1,136 yards in the air. So I do think that Ryan can find Devontae at least a few times.
I like that a lot this week. I think that whole game's going to be a shootout, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. And then maybe it's a little bit of my Dolphins bias, but I do think that it is going to be a great fantasy game for both teams. It's going to be a shootout. Jamal Adams might be out for that game, so in an already weak secondary, that could really benefit the Dolphins. And like I said on Monday, I think that, or Tuesday, I'm sorry, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he's a solid stream this week. So Devontae Parker is going to reap that benefit.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks not only lead in the most yards thrown against them, but they also lead in the most yards per target thrown against them at 10.7 compared to the Vikings following at number 2 at 10.38. So you are going to be able, and that's mainly because Russ has been running the score up. People are going to have to be playing deep. And the Dolphins, even though on paper aren't the greatest team, like to really play big against big teams. And I think that Devontae Parker is going to be ending up balling out again this week and being a stud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I love it. So,
and then obviously, coming in at Thursday night game, something I did not want to do, but I just love the matchup too much. Your tight end of the week from me is going to be Noah Fant. With the Broncos going to their third string quarterback with Drew Lock out, I think that he's going to be the only reliable safety blanket. I personally think that Melvin Gordon's going to have a rough night, and I do think that they're going to have to rely on Judy, Hamler, and Fant. Apparently Tim Patrick's out there to catch some passes too for them and steal some fantasy points from everyone.
Yeah, he was. Showed out a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that Fant's just going to run it up on the Jets defense. He's obviously their favorite target and someone that's being able to produce. Possibly having Phillip Lindsay come back this weekend tomorrow doesn't really hurt him too much. I think it's just going to be a Fant show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, currently he's the tight end 3 in half PPR leagues. I mean, he's been balling out. He's got 2 touchdowns. He is 90.9%, or I'm sorry, I apologize, wrong person. He's got a 66.7% catch ratio, but he's got 21 targets on the season. That's 7 a game so far. So I like that. When you get your tight end to get targets. That's really what you want in a tight end. Unless you have George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, one of those guys who are top tier guys. The next best thing is having a tight end who gets those targets, and Noah Fant has showed that he can do that. And he does. He also makes big plays. He's currently at 13.1 yards per reception, which is pretty good. You want your tight end to get involved and be able to make those bigger plays. So I think Fant is a great play this week, and he's playing the Jets.
Yeah, you're not going to ask him to play anyone better than that, other than maybe the Falcons themselves. But he is, like you were saying, he does get targeted a lot, and he does seem to be able to bring those balls in. And when he does, he can break it away. Out of last week, he was averaging 15 yards a touch. I think that's pretty great for a tight end.
Yeah.
And also able to find the end zone in both weeks. And as we saw with Driscoll in that backup, he got 10 targets. Just hopefully going to be seeing something like that again. I think he's an absolute baller for you. Yeah,
he's getting Brett Ripien is going to need a safety blanket, and Fant's going to be that safety blanket for him. Now, I watching a little bit of him in last game as well as in college. He's not scared. Brett's not scared to make throws. So he's probably not going to be a great fantasy play. But Noah Fant is going to reap that benefit from him just pulling the trigger. And, worst comes to worst, they pull him, they put the boat in, Blake Bortles. And he loves to rip it. So it's going to be a great week for Noah Fant. So I like that pick a lot. But anything else you want to add, John, about Noah Fant, that you love him or anything you want to tell him?
Can you get me a connection with Drew Lock?
He'll get right on that. But let me jump into my must starts this week. First off, and this is kind of weird. He's losing his wide receiver one. This is Tom Brady. He's playing the Chargers, who have allowed the 12th most fantasy points against the quarterback. I'm sorry, 12th least. Apologies. So they've been pretty good against the quarterback from a fantasy perspective. However, they did just lose Chris Harris in their secondary. They don't have Melvin Gordon. I think that Tom Brady's set to have a good or a great fantasy finish or fantasy week. And one other thing, the Chargers are coming from across the country. They're coming all the way over from the West Coast on a 24-hour turnaround to play a game because of COVID and everything like that. They can't fly out early, so they're only going to have a 24-hour period to get adjusted to the time zone. So it's going to be 10 a.m. their time when they play, and with all the losses on defense, I think that's really going to affect them. So I like Tom Brady this week to have a pretty solid week. Top 12 week.
Yeah, you definitely think quarterback one?
Yeah. I think you'll get that out of him. He loves that Mike Evans connection. Hopefully Scotty Miller plays because that would help him out a lot. And then we saw Rob Gronkowski get involved finally this past week on, I believe it was 9 targets he had. And then, of course, O.J. Howard is out there. He had 7 targets. Gronk did. Caught 6 of them. But O.J. Howard's there, so I think he's going to have plenty of weapons.
Yeah, Tom moved to Tampa just because of the weapons. So losing one of them is really not hurting him too bad, even if it is an amazing stud like Chris Godwin. I like Tom Brady this week. I don't know if it's a must start for me, but I do think he's definitely a really solid play, and you're not looking to stream if you have him.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. If I got him, I'm starting him. Next up for me is young buck Joe Burrow. Ooh, he's going to have a great week. He's playing the Jaguars, who just got trounced by Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a great fantasy finish this past week. And Joe Burrow, guess how many times he's thrown the ball so far?
How many?
141. Guess where that ranks among the NFL? Second, you are correct. He has thrown the second most. He has had the second most pass attempts in the league, and he's only thrown one interception. He's a rookie. You're expecting those rookie mistakes, and against this defense this week, I think he's going to have a great game. We're going to get into a little bit of bold predictions later on. And his name will definitely come up again. But I do like the fact that the connection between him and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd has really shown. And he's also got other receivers. Obviously, Mike Thomas had a great week. And if A.J. Green and him can get on the same page, he'll have a plethora of weapons.
Yeah, they're pretty loaded. I mean, T. Higgins was a great pickup for him. I think Joe Mixon's someone that really needs to be getting rolling, if anyone. I'd like to be seeing him getting a little more of that pass-catching work. I think if they do, they can open up a little bit more of the offense, especially downfield if they open up the short game too. He does seem to whip it, but this matchup this week is pretty juicy. I mean, if Ryan Fitzpatrick is able to run on them and make you look at him and be like, whoa, look at that beard move. I think that Joe Burrow is someone who's obviously in his youth is able to just have huge rushing upside. He was already able to run into the end zone once. So I think you're going to be getting a nice little point boost on there. The Jaguars have allowed a good amount of rushing yards to the quarterback. So I think Joe's going to have a great game. And I do think it is time for A.J. Green to finally catch one of those deep balls he keeps getting thrown. With all those targets, it just takes one.
Yeah, 100%. They've also allowed the fourth most yards per attempt to the quarterback position, and then they're tied for the third most touchdown passes allowed. They've allowed 7 this year. So I mean, their defense against the pass is not great, and with Joe Mixon struggling. I mean, this could be a week for him to get started, but with him struggling, they're going to need to get the ball moving, and I think that's why they've passed the ball so much. So I think Joe Burrow's definitely in for a solid week. I love it. I love him this week. He's currently the quarterback 10, which is crazy. 10.
Hey.
Didn't expect that from him. So I love him this week. Great play. Must start. He's going to ball. So moving on to my running back start of the week. That is going to be Mike Davis. With Christian McCaffrey out, we saw what he can do. Now, he was not that efficient in the run game. He got 13 carries, had averaged 3.5 yards a carry last week. Not great. I mean, it's okay. You'd like to see it at that 4 close or more number, but the thing about Mike Davis, just like Christian McCaffrey, he's getting the ball thrown to him. Last week and the week before, when Christian McCaffrey went down, he had 8 targets the first week, 9 targets last week. So him getting involved in that passing game is really going to it really boosts his fantasy value. He put up in a full PPR league, put up over 23 points this past week. He did get in the end zone, and he put up 45 receiving yards. So on 8 receptions, I love that. Like we say it, quite a bit. We like when our running backs can get involved in the passing game. More points.
Yeah, more points through the air, through the ground. However they get him, we need yards, especially touchdowns. But one point I will make, you commented on his yards per carry last week, even though not very efficient. But even in Christian McCaffrey's debut or last game against Tampa, he was only able to put up 3.3 per carry on 18 attempts. So a little bit of it, I believe, is just that line's not spectacular. So I think he's going to be able to have breakout games, and I think, he's another really great pickup, especially with the amount of pass-catching work he gets. And as long as Christian McCaffrey's out, he's a pretty solid start.
Yeah, Yeah, he really is. The Cardinals have allowed the fifth most receiving yards to the running back. So that's one thing I love about that. He's getting the receptions. They've allowed a ton of receiving yards, and they've allowed the most yards per target as well. They've allowed over 10 yards per target. So the defense plus Mike Davis plus the receptions or the targets through the air plus the receptions equals must play.
I'd have to agree.
Big equation right there. So my next must start this week. It's kind of risky. Kind of like it, though. Hunter Renfrow. With Brian Edwards out, potentially. Henry Ruggs out last week. We saw him ball. He put up great numbers this past week. He put up 84 yards through the air with one touchdown, scoring in a full PPR league over 20 points. I like that. There's not many targets. There's him and Darren Waller. It's about it. You got Zay Jones there too, but it's not much of a target, you know?
No.
And
Josh Jacobs?
You got Josh Jacobs. He's getting a couple targets, which I like, which we talked about beginning of the year, but he's going to have to throw the ball to somebody. And Hunter Renfrow at the end of last year ended on a very nice streak the last couple games, putting up over 100 yards both games. Now with Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards out, I believe he is set to have another great week. You like him? You're kind of
I'm not a huge believer. I think a lot of what happened to him last week was just the fact that Darren Waller and both Josh Jacobs just weren't getting a lot of work. Waller was only able to get 4 targets, while Jacobs is only able to run the ball 16 times compared to his 2 games where he's ran 25 and 27 the weeks before. That along with the Patriots just running the ball down and just trying to kill clock with a small lead until it, just worked out the way it did. I think he's a good play for, again, a flexible player, but I think you take away that touchdown, he's nothing more than a flex player. And with how Derek Carr throws the ball, unless you're Waller or Jacobs, you're a third thought for a touchdown.
Yeah, but he also has a great matchup. He's playing. He's going to be on, or Teron Johnson's going to be on him. PFF has him ranked as a 97th out of 109th worst cornerback, slot corner. He's only got a 60, a grade of 60 in pass coverage. So not very good. And an overall grade of 44.5. Not very good. And I think that with this matchup, I mean, they're gonna have to put Tre'Davious White potentially on Darren Waller. I know that it's gonna be awkward, but that's obviously their best pass catcher, Darren Waller. So,
are you gonna man a tight end with your corner?
Oh, you could put him in the slot, play him nickel, move him over. I don't know. I'm not that football savvy, but I do know that you want your best player matching up against their best player, and Darren Waller's their best player. Receiver.
You don't want the height advantage of Darren Waller against Tre'Davious White as a matchup. Otherwise, I'm hitting Darren Waller all day.
I mean, they're gonna hit him anyway.
They are, exactly. That's mainly my point there.
I don't know. I would put my best player. Listen, I'm not a head coach by any means, but I'm just saying, if I'm gonna have my best player out there, I want him on Darren Waller. We got off topic, but Hunter Henry definitely has a great matchup. I love it. Play Henry.
I think he's usable. I think he's serviceable.
Must start him. Anyways, my tight end of the week is Mike Gesicki with the Dolphins. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. It's going to be a shootout, I think, and Mike Gesicki is going to benefit that. Now, the Seahawks have been pretty good against the tight end. They've only allowed 10.5 points to the tight end position, which is not very appealing for if you're a Mike Gesicki truther like me. But they haven't. They played Hayden Hurst week 1. Solid tight end there. Big, great passing game there as well. But after that, they really haven't played much of a tight end in the athletic category as Mike Gesicki. I mean, I think he's going to be the most athletic, best receiving option that they've faced. And with it being a shootout there in Miami, I think that he is going to catch a few passes and potentially get in the end zone.
I like this one a lot. I'm going to have to agree with you there.
Oh,
similar to my Devontae Parker thing, it's going to be an obvious shootout there, and Fitzpatrick's going to have to throw to weapons that he's comfortable with when he's facing defenders who are as talented as they are. And that's going to be the two options that we found in the past year, and that's going to be Gesicki and Parker. Small shot out there, maybe Preston Williams gets in the end zone and snags one, and vultures one again. But there's going to be more than one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think both of them are great plays. They're going to, even if they don't get into the end zone, Gesicki's going to get the yards and going to get the attempts.
Yeah,
he's a beast.
And then my final must-start defense of the week is the Los Angeles Rams. They are playing the New York Giants with probably the worst offensive line, or one of the worst, going up against Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald could probably beat all 5 of them at once, and having the additional 3 people around him is really going to help him. So play the Rams. They're going to get a ton of pressure on Daniel Jones. The run game's not going to be able to do much, and if they can get to the quarterback as quickly as they have been, the passing game's not going to be there either. So play the Rams.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I've got them in a league. I think I'll throw them in.
Yeah, I went and picked them up in one of my leagues this past week. I dropped the Tennessee defense.
You dropped the Tennessee defense.
Mm-hmm. I did indeed. To pick up the LA Rams defense. I'm trying to pull up how their ownership currently. It is at, so it's at 58.8%, which it went up. I know it's probably because waivers ran, but it went up. I know Tuesday it was pretty low. It was around that 30% or so. But there's still, there's still a ton of leagues that they're not in. Unless you have like the Tampa defense or, one of those top tier defenses, I think that if they're on your waiver wire, go and pick them up. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the Thursday night preview. The Jets are playing the Broncos up there in New York. It's going to be a snooze fest.
Hey, it could be extremely exciting. We've got the backup squad and the entire practice squad of the Denver Broncos going up against possibly and more than likely the worst team in the NFL this year.
I could totally see this game being like 3-2, like a sack or a safety and a field goal.
I think that high scoring, huh?
Yeah, I know, it's pretty rough. Or they could just tie at 0.
Or they both score 60.
That'd be nice.
No defense is the best offense.
Yeah, the Broncos are missing a ton of people. Did you see that grab? They were missing against their opponents or whatever. They've been missing $53 million in assets or in players versus the opponents like $2 million a piece, like in injuries. Is crazy.
Well, I mean, when you got Von Miller going down, that's taking a huge chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, personally, I personally think that. Oh, I'm kind of jumping ahead. But I think this is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a funny game, like you were trying to say earlier.
But fumble part 2 coming.
Even if one team balls out, it means nothing. If the Broncos put up 40-3, they're just as good as they were yesterday in my head. If the Jets win the game, they move up a little bit, but not too much coming from it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Noah Fant's really the only plays I'm playing. Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, if he plays. If you're really desperate, Frank Gore.
I'd play Melvin Gordon over Frank Gore.
Oh, Melvin Gordon too. But
I think Melvin Gordon's a really solid floor play if you need at least consistent points because you're taking a risky play later.
Yeah, I forgot about Melvin. So Melvin, I'm not playing Philip Lindsay if he plays. I don't think he will do much, coming off that injury. I'm not playing Braxton Berrios.
Really? Even if Jamison Crowder's not there too?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think
I think against the depleted Broncos defense, Sam Darnold could have a decent day and will at least have one fantasy relevant receiver. And if it's going to be anyone, I think it's going to be him.
Yeah, his targets, were cut in half last week, but he did get in the end zone, which was nice. I don't think I'm playing him this week. I don't. I think it's going to be – I really do think that the Jets are going to get mopped. I think Adam Gase is going to get fired. The Jets are going to get mopped and by some dude named Brett Ripien. Ripien. I don't know how to say his name. Ripien. Rip. Gonna go for a rip. And that's about it. That's all I got for you for Thursday night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a quick one. There's not too many heads to feed there. So
just run over it real quick. Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Jerry Jeudy if he plays, and Frank Gore if you're super desperate.
Berrios if you need a really deep receiver.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Boom, shakalaka. Now let's get into our last segment before we get to our beer of the day, and that is going to be our bold predictions for Week 4.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun. My first bold prediction of the week, hold your breaths, is going to be Joe Burrow, top 5 quarterback this week. For everything I said last segment, my starts of the week, he's throwing the ball a ton. He's got great weapons around him. He's facing the Arizona Cardinals, who are not great against the pass. They've got they have let up some points, and I think this could potentially be he faces the Jaguars, not the Cardinals. This could be the week that Joe Mixon gets involved in that pass game as well. Maybe gets the run game going a little bit, which opens up that pass game a little bit more. So love those attempts. He's gonna ball. 3 touchdowns for Joe Burrow this week.
You think he puts up 3? Do you think that they bring it home?
Yeah. First win of Joe Burrow's career coming this week. Gardner Minshew, unfortunately, I like him a lot, but I think him and the rest of the team aren't going to be doing too much. I think they're going to shock some people currently. Do you know the spread on that right now?
I do not off the top of my head.
Well, I'll look it up here real quick. But before I do, I'll get into my next one, and this is my Dolphins bias coming out. I know that I've been saying that it's going to be a shootout and whatnot down there in Miami against Seattle. I think that it's going to be the Dolphins. They're going to upset the Seattle Seahawks this week with Jamal Adams potentially out. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Dolphins offense will keep up with the Seattle Seahawks. They've been playing the big play very well the past couple weeks after getting burned week 1 against the Patriots. They've been playing it pretty well, and I don't think they allow DK or Tyler to get behind them, and I think that the Dolphins defense is going to do just enough to slow down Russell Wilson, and they're gonna bring it home. They're gonna bring it home.
Let that bias hang high.
Huh?
Let that Dolphins bias hang high.
Yep. And then my last bold prediction, CD Lamb. He was supposed to do it last week. He didn't. I think we were just a little premature. Just a little bit. Just 1 week premature. Well, CD's going to ball. He's going to finish as a top 12 wide receiver this week in half-point leagues. Play him.
Well, did you see what came out of Coach Mike McCarthy said this week? He came out and said, I guess someone commented about how Cedric Wilson broke out and asked why he got as many targets as he did and how it happened. And he came out and said that throughout training camp and since the draft, CD's been working as the team's wide receiver too, and has been getting a heavy workload, if not the heaviest workload on the team. And so he said that with him being so fresh and young in the league and getting that heavy workload, they kind of gave him a little bit of a break last week towards the end of the game because he was a little bit tired. So because you did see him come off the field a little bit towards the end. So I don't think it's something that's going to be happening much more. I think it was just a coincidence of what happened. And so, yeah, I think CD's ready to continue doing what he's been doing and really producing for that Dallas offense.
Yep. The Browns have allowed the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers, and I think CD, is going to really flourish this week and finish as a top 12 wide receiver. Love it. It's 1 week premature. That's it. 1 week.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
So going over to my bold predictions, hopefully you guys are ready for this. I personally think that Josh Allen will fall below a quarterback 10 this week. Currently quarterback 2, not having a game where he hasn't been able to get into the end zone 4 times, either through the air or on his legs, able to just rack up yards and points. But the reason I don't think that's going to happen is he is going against the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you know who the most productive quarterback against the Raiders has been this year?
Tell me.
Teddy Bridgewater. You know who else he's played against? He's played against
Newton,
Drew Brees, and Cam Newton. Both people who Drew Brees, first ballot Hall of Famer, undoubtedly. Cam Newton has been lighting it up the entire year up until last week. And so I think the Raiders really just take away that high quarterback upside from them. And I do though Josh Allen will have a decent game, it's not going to be as high enough in what you're used to from him. I do think this is a week you fade away from him if you're in a really shallow league and you have another high-powered quarterback to play. But I do not think that he's going to end up in that top 10.
Yeah, I think that is definitely in the realm of possibilities. I'm still playing Josh Allen no matter what because he's been balling. But that is definitely in the realm of possibilities. If he gives you a wide receiver or quarterback 11 or 12 finish this week, I'm not going to be upset. But he could potentially not, be as productive as he has been the past couple weeks.
Yeah, that's what we're going for here.
Beautiful.
And something else, I also do believe that it is possible the Jets pull a slight little underdog victory, pull out their first win, and Sam Darnold doesn't look terrible and actually kind of reminds us why he was drafted as early as he was. He has been able to throw for over 300 yards about 5 times in his limited 2.5-year career. Also seeming to do the most against the worst. The past 3 weeks, he's been getting nothing but trashed on. Last year, after he got made fun of because of the comments that came out about him seeing ghosts on the field, he had a few hot weeks coming out, being able to throw for 250 and 2 touchdowns twice, if not better, as well as having a rushing touchdown in one of those weeks. So I personally think that with the amount of crap he's been getting this week and how poorly he played last week, he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder playing against a weak defense. And if it's a time for him to show himself, it's kind of make or break for him. And I think that he's going to be motivated to really push for that win and really try to win it out, especially since they're 0-3. And even if it's a tank fest, Gase is going to try to lose it, and he can't do anything right. So I personally see, let's go Jets, 1-3. And then honestly as well, with how the Detroit Lions offense has been running, I think it's absolutely possible that Adrian Peterson can not show his age, take over and continue to be a bell cow for that team. He's been showing a little bit more and more each week. And I think it's very possible he goes for 20-plus carries for 80-plus yards and a touchdown with possibly, a little bit of receiving upside, maybe getting himself with like 3 or 4 catches for about 35 yards plus. I think he's going to have a balling game. This week, they're currently going against the...
Who are you looking for, the Lions?
Yeah, the Lions are currently playing against the Saints this week, and they pretty good rush defense. But with Matt Stafford having Kenny Golladay and being able to open up that run or that open up that passing game for him, I think they're going to find a lot of underneath work, and I don't think it's going to be an absolute shootout, but I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game where they're going to be needing running backs to be getting into that end zone as well, throwing some underneath routes in as well, running the ball just slightly outside, where I think Adrian Peterson makes a lot of work, even at his older age.
Yeah, I mean he's been getting the touches, so he's always bound. He's bound to break one off. I don't like him this week. I think it's going to be the passing game that gets it done, but that could open up the run game as long as he's getting those touches. There is always a possibility. APAD. So look out for him. That is a bold prediction, John. Love it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our beer of the day.
What's bolder? Dolphins beating the Seahawks or Peterson getting the 80 yards and a tutty?
Peterson.
Really?
Yeah, against the Saints, yeah. Yeah.
I would
with two other backs there. Yeah, I would say
it doesn't take much to break it away.
I would say AP there for sure. So
I'd bet that.
Oh, you want to put it? I mean, I guess I don't know how we can do that.
It's a push if neither happens.
All right. All right, so we have a Wheel of Failure bet going on. AP has to rush for 80 yards and a touchdown against the Saints. And the Dolphins, I have the Dolphins beating the Seattle Seahawks. If neither happen, then it's a push. But if both happen, it's obviously a push as well. But if one happens, then John loses. So because the Dolphins are going to lose or win. And there's no way he's getting 80. But that's why it's a bold prediction. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we're going to jump into our beer of the day. That is the Havana Lager by Concrete Beach Brewery. John, you want to get into the beer notes regarding this beer?
Yeah, so like you said, we're looking at a Havana Lager from Concrete Beach Brewing Company. It's a 5.2%. Coming in at 20 IBUs. So, again, like we said earlier, really smooth, kind of a little sweet there. Made with some Cascade and Halatua hops. Malted with two-row wheat, Vienna, Melatonin, and actually a little bit of chocolate. So, I personally really did enjoy this beer. Like I said, really soft, smooth. Has a nice little light bitterness that has a nice bready, kind of fills your mouth with flavor and just kind of finds its way around. Midway through, kind of has a little bit of sweetness to it, and then kind of just mild bitterness there at the end just to ride it out. Pretty decent beer. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, lagers are pretty good. I like them, when grilling out and stuff like that. Overall, it's a pretty solid beer. Like I said, it was kind of fluffy, which I liked. A little different. I'm going to give it, a 5.9.
5.9?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's not. It was. The thing I liked about it was kind of fluffy. That's pretty much what
I like the fact that it's just it's light and really smooth, so it's really easy drink for me. The flavors, the bitterness is light. The flavor doesn't come on too strong. It's a good, like you said, a good grilling beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love the fact.
So
I picked it up at Publix. So if it's there, pick it up.
Odds are it may not be.
Yeah, it may not be. So they were having issues due to COVID, unfortunately. But the distributor is owned by Sam Adams Brewing Company, which is nice. So you may be able to find it, from around you. Go to the just Google the beer. Google Concrete Beach Brewery, Havana Lager, and you might be able to find this beer near you. So anyways, John, let the people know how they can get in touch with us, how they can hit us up and ask their fantasy football questions, ask us or recommend us beers like this one here.
Actually, beers from tap rooms and breweries that are currently open.
Yeah, that'd be
preferable.
Nice. Yeah, please.
Okay, but if you guys do want to reach out to us for any of your fantasy football questions, any last-minute entries into the Kenny Golladay jersey giveaway, go to @thefantasytap on both Instagram and Twitter, where you guys can like, comment, share with 2 friends on this for this jersey, or just DM us on whatever you guys have for your start sits, trade questions, or anything else that's on your mind. As well, you can get to us on the email. It's going to be thefantasytap@gmail.com. There we'll be able to get to you guys. We are really looking for those beer recommendations, so make sure that you guys send them to us. Again, whatever you guys got, we'll take a sip. So thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you again after this Thursday night game on Friday.
Let's go Broncos, baby. Kick the Jets' butt. See you guys. Love you.